Hi and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Everyone's so excited about how to kick the sugar habit. A little bit about myself. My name's Julie McAfee, and I had a private practice for 12 years working with women on emotional levels. And I noticed that there was a huge gap in their health, wellness. I myself struggled. I thought I was doing all the right things. And I ended up going back to school last year, in the last 2 years, working with a doctor with metabolic health, and we now hone in on the areas that women, especially when our systems are changing in our 40s, 50s, and beyond. So my focus is smart aging with you today, and I do live in Telluride, Colorado. I have three kids, a husband, and that is Mia over there um, on the sofa. So again, thank you for being here, and I'm so excited to jump in. Let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to get going, and this is so excited. Again, thanks for everybody being interested. Why can't you stop eating sugar? People kind of freak out when I say this. Sugar is as addicting as cocaine. It was used decades ago for uh, Coca-Cola. They knew it was addicting, Coca-Cola. It was used as bribery for voting. It was used almost as commerce because it had such an influence and addicting. And we're going to talk more about that in our slideshow. So again, thank you for being here. We're going to hop right in. Here we go. So in today's fast-paced world, it seems like I know so many women that, we get up and we maybe don't eat as much as we should. I'm noticing that a lot of women in our 50s because our metabolism changes. And they eat a little bit, they run out the door, then they need to pick me up and they get some coffee. And then around one or two, they start to crash again and they get some more coffee with sugar and cream in it. And it just is like this forever falling um, struggle because what happens is when we are affecting our insulin, which we're going to talk more of, we start to add pounds. So it's really easy to grab sugar. It's in everything. It's in our ketchup. It's in our salad dressings. It's really used in the world today as an addiction, and that's why it is so addicting. So it's important to have healthy snacks around to grab. So this substitution we've been talking about on social media, we're going to jump more into. So um, firsthand, I have personally experienced sugar addiction. There was a time in my life when I would count my calories when I was in college, and then I would praise myself by being able to eat some ice cream or cookies instead for calories. But what happened, it would affect my insulin and it would make me crash even worse into almost like a depression. So this guide is going to help us, and it's going to focus on a few key areas of why we are so addicted chemically and how we can break free with substitutions gently along this journey. And I'm here to help you with that. Okay, so whether you're dealing with intense cravings, emotional binging at night, um, maybe it's alcohol, you just can't seem to not drink that glass of wine every night. It's not you. It's important that you know that it's not you with the problem, it's the sugar, right? And when we remove the sugar, you're able to emotionally and physically handle that sugar addiction. So that's just one little step. So um, here we are, sugar dependence and sugar addiction. Sugar is highly addictive substance. It affects not only our emotional body, our brain, but it affects our physical body. It creates a dopamine effect, neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. So I was having a conversation with a client the other day, and she was just sharing how she can't She would even like drop her kids off early so she could stop by the gas station to get candy bars to eat on the way home before she saw her husband. Um, it's a drug. Sugar is a drug. It's, but we can beat the sugar habit. So here we got it's as addictive as heroin. If regularly consumed, it affects our system and it's our pleasure receptor, we could call it that, that it's constantly looking for sugar as a reward. So, how does it develop in the first place? Okay, so there's people that are, some people have more genetic response to the addiction of behavior of sugar. And so if you see those patterns within your family, it's something to look at and be more conscious of to eat more fat and more protein along your journey for every single meal. And that's what we would work on if you were to work with me. And just follow my social media because you learn so much there. Emotional eating, I think we've all been there. We think that if we eat just a half of a little quart of Ben and Jerry's, that, we eat it and we feel so, a few bites and then we end up eating the whole thing. That's the downward spiral that we don't want to do. Also, it's a learned behavior. So, even with your kids, let's just say a family member used to take my kids to the gas station. When I went to the gas station, it was like a celebration and they would go in and they would get candy. And I was like, look, you know what? You're teaching your grandkids to do that. You're teaching, actually, it was my husband also. You're teaching our kids that whenever we stop to get gas, they get candy. Like you're programming our kids, you can't do that. I won't tell them I recorded that. But so habit formation, when you repeatedly pair sugar with experiences in your life, let's just talk about watching TV. It's a reward, it's a brain stimulant, it's a trigger. So where in your life are you creating sugar as a reward in your life? Write those down and really evaluate that and how you can substitute. Let's talk about the gut brain axis, the connection. There is such a connection there. When you start to eat sugar, that connection, it's a relay, and it's so important to be careful because what happens is that sugar begins to eat away your gut biome bacteria for absorption. So one of the teachers I worked with when I was 16 years old would always remind me that when you eat sugar, you're not able to absorb the nutrients that you need. So, breaking free from addiction is not an overnight process. It's a gradual process, and there can be some intense withdrawal, lot of mind games. And that's why we're here talking about it together. Maybe you want to partner up and get a group of girls together, and we can work together and make it fun. It could be really fun. So find your healthier alternatives. Again, we've got monk fruit, we've got stevia. There's all kinds of products out there now. And I veer away from processed foods, but that you can substitute to reduce that sugar intake to support your insulin levels in your system to where it's not so stressful for your brain, right? Practice mindfulness, pay attention to your cravings. If you're craving something sweet, maybe it's a banana instead of a handful of gummies or frozen yogurt again. Be mindful about what you're putting into your body at all times and what is available to you in your surrounding area. Whole foods. Something I love to do in the winter is eat squash. It's sweet. The more sugar you stop eating, the more sweet vegetables and fruit will become in your life. If you really are struggling, maybe you want to find support in your local area. Again, you could even create a group that I could support you with and we could make it fun. Okay, so sugar swaps. Here we are. I love it. Sugar swaps. It's really easy. There's so much out there again. And we'll look for that list on my social media. Again, there's monk fruit, stevia. You want to be sure, though, when you read the labels, that it is only monk fruit. It doesn't have all saccharin or all the other horrible sugars in it. Um, I would recommend just Googling the sugar that's on the box if it's saying it's a healthy sugar and doing your own research. Okay, there's stevia. Stevia is my favorite. Some people love it. I'd say 10% of the people I meet don't like it. It's a real win. Um, it does not affect your insulin levels, so I love stevia. Monk fruit is great. It's 0 calorie. It's much like stevia. It has a different taste, and you can also bake with it. So these are my two top. Okay, now we're going to jump into erythritol. My colleagues and I go back and forth about this particular sweetener. I worked with a man who with doing nutrition, gosh, like 28 years ago, and erythritol had just come out before it was even on the market, and it comes from birch trees. So it was a big deal for him. He invested, probably one of the largest owners of birch trees. Um, and for, I'm sorry, I messed up. Erythritol is not, I'm thinking xylitol. Let's just keep talking about it's xylitol. Xylitol comes from the birch tree. What's great about xylitol is that it hardens your teeth. When you go to the dentist, you'll notice that a lot of your dentists and orthodontists are using xylitol toothpaste because now fluoride is kind of bad. You can Google that rabbit hole. So xylitol I used to bake with, but it did it for me, it does create a little bit of gas. So you're gonna want to kind of test your system. Xylitol is great. You can bake with it. Check it out. Erythritol is where I go back and forth with colleagues. It's maybe it does have a lower glycemic level, but maybe it just affects me. So see how it feels in your system. Okay. Coconut sugar is great. I bake with coconut sugar, dark coconut sugar. It's awesome. Dates are great. They're a little bit high maintenance for me, I feel like. Um, but they're really good. And of course, there's applesauce you can use, which is a great alternative. Um, and it takes a little bit of time, but it's really good in muffins and a great way to adjust. I also do like, uh-oh, hmm, not sure why this is happening, but maybe we'll do this in two segments. All right, well, we're going to do this in two segments, so I'll be right back.